my name is Karrie Macknair. I'm 32 years old, and I am the administrative director for the physics department at Penn State. And I've been powerlifting for the last 5-6 years now, probably. Been competing since 2016.
So physics, is that something that you've always been interested in? I know it's something that a lot of people are intimidated by.
Yeah, it was super scary when I took the position. So my degree, I have a dual bachelor's in business management and marketing. So I worked with the College of Medicine before I went to the physics department. And everyone thinks that I'm like involved in physics or that I'm a professor or something, but I'm not. I'm just in charge of all the nerds. I basically tell the professors and all the students what to do and how to spend their money. And
gotcha. So it's more of it's kind of more of the business background of things.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yep. I mean,
Gotcha.
I've learned a lot being in the department, probably more than I ever wanted to. It's interesting sometimes. I got to go in and inspect the labs and make sure that things are all in order with the research. So I have picked up quite a bit, but I'm definitely not into it.
Do you ever take into account like the physics of what's going on in the gym? Like, or maybe you've asked somebody like a professor, hey, how would this work better? Have you ever used the physics to your advantage?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, I've had a couple of the professors that, I have a lot of meetings with the professors that are in the leadership within the department. So they've talked to me here and there, and they actually have different experiments and stuff that they do in the classroom with weights. So like they've had 10, 15 pound dumbbells and, they've had me come into the classroom or whatever, just so they can say, hey, here's this girl who, is this size and picks up this amount of weight, and just little silly things like that. But yeah, I've had conversations with some of them just with how it relates to the gym and me. And
yeah, no, it's pretty cool. I actually have my background as an exercise science. So we kind of went through a little bit of all that stuff with biomechanics and things like that. And it's pretty crazy, the level of knowledge that some people have in this industry.
Yeah, definitely. When I first started, I never would have, put it all together that there was so much involved. When I started, I lifted with a bunch of meatheads. So it was just like, hey, we're going to go and pick up these weights and that's it. So just working with different coaches and getting to know different people, in the fitness world, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
How everything correlates.
Definitely. So how did you get into fitness?
So, I mean, I played sports my whole life, softball, soccer, basketball. I danced for like 15 years. So, once all of the organized sports kind of ended and I moved home from college, I got super lazy, gained a bunch of weight. I had no direction, no competitive sport to keep me motivated or keep me doing anything. And I was actually following this couple on Facebook, and the guy was a trainer and they were going to these competitions. I didn't know what powerlifting was at the time. Like I didn't even know it existed. So I saw them at these meets and it looked like a lot of fun. And he was helping people, to lose weight and get healthier. And I reached out to him and actually started working out with them like in their garage in a driveway in this little development. We were doing HIIT workouts. And I went out there a couple nights a week and just to lose weight, in the beginning. And it was a lot of fun. There was like a little group of us that did these workouts together. And then one night they were deadlifting in the driveway, getting ready for this, it was just, I think, a push-pull charity meet or something. And I was like, hey, like, I want to try that out. That looks pretty cool. So I think I worked up to like 200 pounds or something. Ugliest 200-pound deadlift ever. It was so terrible. I couldn't walk for like a week afterwards. My form was awful. But I ended up going to this meet with them. I trained for a couple more weeks, did a deadlift only meet for charity. It supported like a kids football team or something. Had a blast. I mean, it was so much fun. So then I was like, okay, like I really want to get into this. Like, what do we do next? So the next thing was, I think it was like another charity push-pull meet. So we trained a couple months for it, did it, had a bunch more fun. My family came to the meet, and they had no idea what it was either until that first meet. So yeah, it was a couple local sanctioned meets and that's how I got my feet wet, and I really fell in love with it. Just the camaraderie in the sport and how supportive everybody is of everyone else. And it was it was awesome.
And do you think that the kind of that camaraderie and the community side of it pushes you more than like wanting to move more weight and more weight? Like what do you think pushes you more to keep powerlifting?
I know for myself, the competitive aspect, every time I pick a meet and have a goal in mind, that, keeps me on track in the gym. Anytime I'm like, I don't really feel like going to lift today or whatever, like in the back of my head, I know that meet's coming. And if I miss today or whatever, if I'm lazy, like I'm going to pay for it later. So a lot of it for me, I like to compete just to, stay on track in the gym, keep chasing my goals. I think the camaraderie in the sport helps. I mean, having so many friends. And I mean, some of the friendships are competitive or a little bit of a rivalry too. There's some people that I really like, but they're in my weight class and I watch them, keep climbing up the rankings. And I'm like, dang it, like I gotta keep up with them. So I think it's a little bit of both.
At the very beginning, what do you think you struggled with the most? Like a lot of people struggle with the motivation to get up and do it. A lot of people struggle with having, some excuses like I don't have the time to do it. Did you find yourself struggling with a specific thing at the beginning?
I mean, in the beginning, it was probably a combination of things, just because, I went from doing nothing. Like I literally just worked, hung out in the bar. I was like 22 years old. I was drinking and eating out all the time. And I was bartending. So, like I was always in the restaurant. So just getting the motivation and everything to go lift before I had to go work all night, or to not go out with everybody after work because, I needed to get some sleep so I could get up and train the next day. Same with the diet. I made a pretty drastic diet change right in the beginning to lose weight. You go from eating out every night of the week and just eating junk to actually tracking macros and trying to hit macros and keep everything pretty clean. I mean, that was super tough. I love food. Like I like to eat. My whole family likes to eat, my friends. It's a social fun, as it is for everybody. So the combination of the two, it was definitely pretty tough. But having the people that I trained with, having a trainer, having someone to hold me accountable really, really helped me out in the beginning.
At the beginning, you feel like you're going to be motivated one day and, you start that day and then the next day, maybe you're a little bit motivated, but maybe a little bit less. And then by the third or fourth day, it's like you don't have that motivation. So it's so hard to do it. And I think that until you create that habit, it's so hard. That's just such a tough period for anybody to create that habit. It doesn't matter if it's working out or whatever. It's like, if you can just make yourself do it. And I think I watched actually a video today. It was funny on David Goggins. It was basically saying like, at the beginning, you're going to feel so much pain just by the simple act of, doing what you don't want to do. And it's true though. Like even just simply getting out of bed early when you don't want to do it to go work out can be one of the hardest things that you'll ever do. It's so crazy.
Definitely. Like I said, just doing it with people, like knowing that there's people that are waiting on me, like we're all going to be there at a certain time. Like they were counting on me, I was counting on them. Like that was huge for me, because I know a lot of days if I had to get up and go do it myself, like I would have been like, whatever.
Oh, yeah, it's tough. And I think that goes to the point too, like even further along the line of having people around you who are supportive and who don't like make you feel bad about not wanting to go out to eat and things like that. Because I think it's tempting, if there's people around you who are like, oh, it's okay. If you just have this one meal, you can work out anyway tomorrow, or you can do it the next day. Like it's already hard enough without people, not kind of being there to encourage you to do what you want to do.
Oh yeah. Yep. And I mean, I've kind of gone through waves with that. I lost 20 pounds pretty quickly when I first started, with the trainer and everything. And then once I decided to compete to do like a sanctioned meet the first time, I ended up dropping like another 15 pounds. So in the first year, I lost like 40 pounds before I actually competed. And then after that meet, I gained like 12 pounds back. And that was a huge deal because, you know, I just lost all that weight. Now I gained a little bit back. Now, granted, you know, I was weight training, so some of it was muscle and whatever, but just, you know, that felt like a setback in a sense, just because I worked so hard to lose the weight, then I gained some back. And I mean, throughout the last, like I said, 5 years, my weight's gone up and down a lot. I'm actually, you know, back down at a much lower weight now than I was even the last time I competed in September. But I'm at a place now where I don't have to be so strict. And, you know, I work with some people now, you know, programming and diet and stuff. And, you know, you try to really make that lifestyle change as opposed to, oh, I'm on this diet for 2 months and these 2 months are going to suck and then it'll be over. That's been huge for me. Like trying just to be mindful and not be super strict, but, you know, just really pay attention to what I'm putting in my body.
I think it's really cool. You're talking about like you lost some weight, you gained some weight back, and a lot of people, like we're saying, that's where things begin. It begins with the weight, and but whenever you get into fitness and you find powerlifting or you found bodybuilding or you find whatever it is to kind of like, it's a bigger purpose. And so once you kind of lose that weight to where you're, you know, maybe you need to lose weight and you get to a healthy weight, it's something that keeps you going. It becomes so much more, I think, about like who you become at that point instead of like what you look like.
Right. I completely agree. And that's, like I said, for me in the beginning, it was all about weight loss. You know, I wanted to get back to the weight I was in college, whatever. And then, you know, finding powerlifting helped me keep the weight off. You know, I gained some weight. My body's completely changed, you know. 200 pounds now looks much different than it did 5 years ago. And it's really helped me to kind of get over that, I guess. You know, before when I'd be like, oh my God, I weigh 200 pounds, it was embarrassing. You know what I mean? Like I felt like, oh my God, I'm so huge and I'm so much bigger than all these other girls. But, you know, with powerlifting, you put me at 6'1", 200 pounds besides someone who's 5'5", 200 pounds, you know, you can clearly see the difference. And I think that's what's so cool about the sport. It's for all types. You know, you see every single body type. You might see a chick that's super jacked next to a girl, you know, that's bigger and stronger. You know what I mean? Like there's tiny girls, there's big girls, there's everything. And I think that's what makes it really cool. And like I said, that's kind of what helped me get over chasing any kind of number on the scale. You know, now I'm chasing numbers in the gym as opposed to trying to fit into some box or fit into some certain number.
Yeah.
So
no, I think the weightlifting side of it has so many good potential like mindset changes.
Oh yeah.
You know, there's definitely the good and like you can definitely find good in like running or cycling or something like that, because you can hit milestones in those as well. But I think there's something about just like lifting weights, and I've done pretty decent cardio stuff in my, you know, fitness past, and I've lifted weights for, you know, several years, and just it's two different feelings really. You know, you get a feeling of like empowerment, I think, whenever you lift weights.
Definitely. And I mean, myself, I've gone and done, you know, some 5Ks with friends. I've begrudgingly done it, but you know, you get through a 5K and I hated my life the whole time I was doing it. But when I was done, I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like, I feel really good now. But, you know, that compared to the first time I deadlifted 500 pounds at a meet, like that feeling trumps everything I've ever felt in my life. You know, like I chased that number for so long. I finally hit it on the platform. Like it still gives me chills and like brings tears in my eyes thinking about it. It sounds stupid, but like you said it perfectly. Like it's super empowering when you finally hit that number that you've been chasing for so long. Like it's just like a high that can't be matched.
So you mentioned you did some sports growing up. Did you have any experience in the weight room with any like strength conditioning or anything like that?
A little bit. So I came from a super small town. My high school, I think I graduated with like 98 kids. So our sports programs weren't the greatest. We had a little bit of strength training. My basketball coach had us in the gym a couple times, but there was never any real structure. It was kind of like, oh, hey, come in here and we're gonna, curl these dumbbells and do some leg press. So it wasn't anything super intense. I wish it would have. I have some younger kids now that I've worked with, and I'm like, whatever you can do now, like start as early as possible. Just because I really wish I would have had that opportunity when I was younger. I think it would have made a big difference.
When you first started to power lift, was there any weird feeling for you? Because I know like people, and I guess you kind of had a different experience getting into it, but potentially maybe some similarities. A lot of people go into the gym and they kind of get overwhelmed with just the whole experience. Was there any of that for you? I know you didn't like start out in a big gym, but like, was there any of that for you just with the weights in general?
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty fortunate. The people that I had around me in the beginning, I don't want to say spoiled, but spoiled in a sense, because I was training with guys that, could squat and deadlift 800 pounds and bench 500 pounds. So like, you know what I mean? Like lifting big weights, it was just like, well, this is just another day. Like it's nothing special. So when I went into the gym with them, it wasn't intimidating because I just did what they told me to do. And I didn't really have anything else to worry about. I work with some females now that, they go into the gym and they're all alone, and, it's intimidating. They have guys that, try to shove them out of the way or whatever. And I feel bad for them, but I went through a little bit of that, transitioning between gyms. But like I said, I was fortunate enough to start with people in the powerlifting world, and they kind of just took me under their wing. I did what they did, obviously at lower weights. So then that kind of built my confidence. Whenever I did have to go into the gym by myself, I wasn't scared or intimidated. I knew what I needed to do and I did it regardless. I've worked with some girls most recently at certain gyms that, I've gone to the gym with them and kind of helped them to get comfortable and just to feel more confident doing what they needed to do in a gym full of guys. And I know that is hard for a lot of girls. Some of the girls that I work with now, like I tell them, I'm like, I promise you the other powerlifters in the gym, like if you have questions, they're going to help you, like introduce yourself, like just get friendly with them. 9 times out of 10, they're going to be super friendly right back. And, the other people that you think are watching you, they have their headphones and they don't care. Most people are there doing their own thing and they're not worried about what anybody else is doing.
Yeah. Did you have any trouble at the beginning, like failing and like missing a weight, and did that affect you at all?
It did. And I was chasing, I still chase numbers, obviously, but in the gym, I didn't have as much patience or structure as I do now. So in the beginning, I had these numbers in mind. I have to hit this, I have to do this, leading up to this meet, and I would miss them, and it would be like detrimental to me. Like it would ruin my whole day, ruin my whole week. Like it would just get in my head, and then, oh, so-and-so was there and they saw it, and now they just look at me as a failure. So yeah, in the beginning, that really messed with my head in the gym a lot. Yeah. I would try to, like, if I didn't have one of the guys that I trained with me, like I would try to figure out a time to go to the gym when no one was there, because if I messed up or missed something, then no one would see and it wouldn't be as big a deal. And that took a while to get over. Now I haven't missed, in meet prep or whatever, I haven't missed numbers that I'm supposed to hit in the gym, just because that's how my programming was. But there have been other times, where I'm supposed to hit an AMRAP or something. And even that, like, I will have this number in my head of how many I want to do, and then I fall short of that. And it messes with me for a little bit, but I'm at a point now where I can get mad for a couple minutes and get over it. It's not the end of the world. I'll do better tomorrow or next week.
As soon as you kind of stop believing a little bit, it makes it that much harder. Mm-hmm. The mental side of it makes it either a little bit better or a little bit harder, I think. And if you lose it, that confidence, it definitely can change the outcome.
For sure. I learned that the hard way. I get super, super nervous before meets. And it's mainly just because I have to get up in front of people, and all eyes are on me. And, now once I get out and hit that first squat, like I'm over it. The nerves kind of calm down. But it was probably my third meet. I went out in my squat opener. I like dumped it over my head. I think it was 315 pounds. And it was something I had hit plenty of times before, but I was super nervous. I wasn't in the right headspace. I was just, all this self-doubt and thinking all these terrible things. And I went out and the terrible thing happened. And I remember going, in the warm-up room with the guy that was handling me at the time. And I'm like, oh my God, let me just hit this weight back here. Like, I know I can do it. I need to do it back here to know I can do it out there. And he's like, calm down. Like, you've hit it in the gym. You just need to relax and like, be confident about this. And I went out there in the second time and took it, and it was super easy. And it was just, taking that time to relax, get my head right, and be confident in my ability, to know that I've been there before and that I can do this. It makes a world of difference.
Yeah, it does. And, confidence, it plays a big role in so much. Did you have any issues kind of with like working around like, okay, I'm powerlifting, I need to eat differently, or I maybe need to eat more, or, how did you kind of handle the nutrition side of things?
Most times I would get help from, someone who was educated or, had more information in that field than me. Because, after I lost the initial weight and then gained some back, the people that I was lifting with kind of just had me on this track where, you need to eat to get strong. And, I was eating and being mindful for the most part, but not completely. And that's how I got myself back up. I think I was like 215 pounds and I competed at 198. So I was at a point there where, I listened and I ate and I was super strong, but now I'm 17 pounds over my weight class. So what are we going to do now? So I have a friend who, she has a background in nutrition and all that. And she kind of helped me get my macros on track at that point. And it was just, to drop down to 198 for that meet, we did. Like, I lost some strength, sacrificed, the strength to get down to that weight. But then after that meet, I got with the coach and we were a little smarter about it and made sure that I was on track further out, slowly cut the weight so we could keep it off. We played around with a couple of things too. I think that's something that a lot of people don't take the time to do. We messed with higher carbs or carb cycling or higher fats, just to see what my body liked more or what it responded to better. And that was huge for me because there was a point in time where, I was only eating 1,800 calories, 2,000 calories, and that's clearly not enough for someone my size. And now I'm at a point where, I'm sitting under 200 pounds, I'm eating, 3,000 plus calories a day, and I'm able to maintain my weight now. And, my strength is still up while my weight's staying down. And that's what I want right now. So I think it takes a lot of time. You really got to take that time to learn your body and learn what your body responds well to.
When it comes to like powerlifting, when it comes to bodybuilding, when it comes to any type of competition, in the process of competing and training, we figure things out about ourselves. We figure things out about the world, whatever. What do you feel like you've figured out about yourself, personal traits or things that you've, maybe traits that you've grown into more as, you train? What do you think you've kind of, how have you evolved?
Oh man, there's so many ways from the very beginning. I think for me, the biggest thing has been the competitive side, seeing how far I can push myself, how dedicated I can stay. Whenever this last prep for me was probably the toughest going into the showdown in September. It was the first prep that I dealt with a couple injuries. I messed up my knee and couldn't squat for like 3 weeks in the middle of my prep. And not squatting for 3 weeks, 6 weeks out, like that's a little scary. But just, having that perseverance and pushing through and sticking to the plan rather than just being like, well, I'm done. You know what I mean? Like, my knee hurts, so I'm just not going to compete. hindsight, maybe I should have pulled out just because I might be in a better position than where I'm at right now. But sticking to that plan and seeing it through, I learned so much at that meet. It was such a great experience. And I'm really grateful that I, followed through and had the experience that I did now. So I think that's one thing throughout my powerlifting journey, just learning how dedicated I am, how motivated I am. Whereas before powerlifting, a lot of times I probably would have just quit rather than, sticking something out when it's hard or when things get hard. And I mean, aside from that, the whole community with powerlifting, I've had so many opportunities to help people in the gym. I've met so many people at meets that I've become friends with, that I've been able to help or, give them some guidance in the gym. And I think that's the most rewarding part for me, aside from, meeting my goals and doing whatever I want to do on the platform.
And
Yeah.
you kind of mentioned right there, kind of like your own personal goals. And, with the new year coming up, do you have any, specific or just general kind of things that you want to kind of do or achieve, or even if it's just something very vague that you kind of want something to happen in this next year?
There's a couple things I have in the works, I guess. Lifting goals are still kind of the same. I want to compete at a lower weight class now. So that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out in the next year, like what meet I want to do, what numbers I want to hit. I'd love to hit the same numbers at 181 as I did at 198. So that's kind of the goal right now. I keep tossing around the idea of doing like a wellness or a figure show, just because I have so many people all the time tell me that I should. So I don't know. Might look into that eventually. And I want to just keep growing my coaching too. I have, just about a dozen people right now that I'm working with. And I like that, I can have a close relationship with all of those people. And, some of them are local, so I get to see them in person. And like I said, with the past couple of weekends going to their meets and stuff, I would really like to maybe pick up some more people, do some more of that, just because it is such a rewarding experience getting to help people.
Just do something, I think, is the biggest thing to me. Don't just sit on the couch, figure out how you can get involved and really, I think, make your life interesting, take charge of it and create something for yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that plays into like finding people in the gym or whatever that you can be friendly with and, motivate each other, even if you're in different realms. Like I have a bunch of friends in the gym and we have CrossFit, we have powerlifting, we have people who just are lifting because they want to lift. They don't compete in anything. But just having all those different, the different ideas and different backgrounds, we can all kind of bounce ideas off of. It's awesome. You constantly learn something new or can try something new and keep it interesting.
Yeah. And that's, a big point of this podcast too, is to get, different ideas on here and, you're a power lifter, maybe somebody's a bodybuilder, maybe somebody's training for the military, whatever it is, like we can all kind of, even if it's just like a mindset, if it's not a physical, like training idea, if it's just like, oh, that makes total sense. I'm glad I heard that thought, it's
yeah,
just,
right.
You can benefit from, I think, from everyone in some way. So it's really cool to have you on and, talk to you. It's, insightful. Each person I get to talk to, I definitely pick something up. So I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
So if you want to, before we head out, if you want to let people know where they can find you on social media or wherever else, that'd be cool.
I'm mainly active on Instagram. I'm really not very good at social media. But my Instagram handle is K and then 2_ Mac. I'm not really on Facebook or anything, so Instagram's about it.